You know how we love to put things in neat, tidy boxes, good versus bad, big versus small, real versus imaginary. But what if I told you that some of the most important concepts we deal with every day don't actually fit in any box at all? Today, we're going to explore a huge blind spot in our thinking by looking at the fascinating things that slip right through the cracks. Okay, so let's get into it. From the time we're kids, we're basically taught that everything in the world fits into two buckets. You've got your concrete objects, things you can actually touch, rocks, trees, people, physical stuff. And then you have abstract objects, things you can't touch, ideas like the number 7, or justice, or happiness. Seems simple enough. Seems like that covers everything, right? Well, maybe not. And look, this isn't just some casual way of thinking. This two-part view of the world, this dichotomy, is a massive cornerstone in philosophy. It's all about separating physical reality from the world of pure ideas. And for centuries, this system seemed to work perfectly. But it turns out, some very common, everyday things start to poke some serious holes in this neat and tidy theory. And this is where our simple, black and white world starts to get really, really interesting. Just think for a second about a shadow. Go on. Is it a concrete thing, or is it an abstract idea? This one simple question is like a beautiful wrench in the gears of how we're taught to think. I mean, really think about it. A shadow definitely has a physical location. You can point to it and say, hey, it's right there on the floor. So that kind of makes it feel concrete. But it has no mass, zero substance. You can't pick it up, you can't touch it, which makes it feel abstract. It just doesn't fit neatly into either category. And hey, we are not the first people to get hung up on this. Philosophers have been wrestling with this exact problem for ages. This quote from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy pretty much nails it. Things like holes and shadows, they just don't belong. They are, for lack of a better term, something else entirely. So let's dig into this puzzle. What exactly makes a shadow break the rules so badly? Well, to really get it, we need to quickly look at the official rules philosophers use to decide if something is abstract or not. They use this method that has a super fancy name, the way of negation. It sounds complicated, but trust me, the idea is incredibly simple. You basically define what an abstract thing is by listing all the things that it isn't. And there are two main rules they follow. Rule number 1 is that abstract objects are non-spatial. In other words, they don't have a physical location, right? It makes absolutely no sense to ask, hey, where is the number 7 right now? Or what year did the concept of justice happen? These things exist completely outside of space and time. Okay, rule number 2, and this one's a bit of a mouthful. Abstract objects are causally inefficacious. Whoa. All that really means is that they can't physically cause something to happen in the real world. So the idea of justice might inspire a person to act, for sure, but the concept of justice itself has never, ever physically pushed a button or started a car. It just has no physical power. All right, so those are our two big tests for what makes something abstract. Number 1, it can't have a location. Number 2, it can't physically do anything. Got it? Okay, with those rules in mind, let's finally put our shadow to the test. And this table just makes the whole problem crystal clear. Let's run through it. A rock, does it have a location? Yes. Can it cause things? Absolutely. It's concrete. Simple. Now, the number 7. Location? Nope. Causal power? Nope. It's abstract. Easy enough. But then we get to the shadow. Does it have a location? Yes. So it can't be abstract. But can it cause things? Well, that's where it gets complicated. It's an absence of light, so it can't really do anything. It fails the test for concrete, and it fails the test for abstract. It's in a category of its own. It breaks the system. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a fun little brain teaser about shadows, but why does this actually matter? Because, and this is the key, this is so much more than a philosophical game. Once we realize that some things don't fit into our neat little boxes, you suddenly have a powerful new mental model for understanding the world, especially for understanding the complex, fuzzy topics we all have to deal with in our jobs. So let's take this whole third category idea out of the philosophy classroom and put it to work where it can really make a difference, with those hard-to-define but totally critical concepts that shape our professional lives. Just think about some of these terms. Company culture. Is that a concrete thing? Of course not. You can't put it in a box and ship it. But is it purely abstract? Not really. It has a very real, tangible effect on a physical office and the real people in it. The same thing is true for brand identity or a gap in the market or team morale. They absolutely exist. They totally matter, but they defy our simple categories. They are the shadows of the business world. And here is the big aha moment. A shadow isn't defined by what it is, because it isn't really anything. It's defined by the light it blocks and the surface it falls on. Company culture works the exact same way. It isn't a thing in itself. It's the shape that's created by all the concrete things around it. The office layout, the way meetings are run, the behaviors of the leaders. It's the pattern cast by all the real stuff. So how can we actually use this? How do we turn this idea into a practical tool that helps us think more clearly, solve problems better, and communicate more effectively, especially in a professional or training environment? Well, there's a simple 4-step process. First, just identify one of these fuzzy concepts you're wrestling with. Let's say team morale. Step 2, make a conscious decision to recognize it's not a simple, concrete, or abstract thing, so stop trying to treat it like one. 3, give it a new name. Call it a third category object or a shadow. And finally, and this is the most powerful step, stop trying to define the shadow itself. Instead, define it by the concrete things that are casting it. Ask, what specific projects, communication habits, or management styles are creating the shape of our team morale? Adopting this way of thinking is a total game changer. It gives you a much more precise language to talk about these super important but hard to pin down ideas. So instead of getting stuck just saying, team morale is bad, you can start saying, the shape of our team's morale is being defined by a lack of clear project goals and infrequent feedback. You see the difference? It's huge. You've gone from a vague complaint to a specific, actionable analysis. So at the end of the day, what this really shows us is that many of the most important things in our work and in our lives aren't really things at all. They're the shapes, the patterns, and the relationships that are created between all the things we can see and touch. They're the shadows. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know how to look for them, what other shadows define your world?